Of our three-part series. Today is going to be more hopping around. So I encourage everyone to leverage the chat. Remember, in Teams, you can raise your hand. Love to not only get questions, but comments and share ideas. So feel free to type in the chat your questions, raise your hand. We're going to hop around a little bit more today. So you're going to see me sharing my screen as opposed to sharing just the PowerPoint slides. So this works a little better face to face, but I think we can pull it off here today. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. Hopefully, Darren, you can see my screen okay. And I'll be going back and forth between these different tools and jumping in here today. So I've got Perplexity, ChatGPT, and we'll talk about Notebook LM and what we've created here and how to use these tools. So with that, let's jump in. For those of you, again, that are new to this class, my name is Josh Bone. I'm the Executive Director of Electri International. Electri is the R&D, the research and development arm for NECA. We produce research, but one of the things we're big on is activating that research, providing you with tools, developing programs and curriculum and content where we partner with NECA Education. And we're always trying to identify what are those leading trends impacting electrical contractors. We are that forward-thinking group for NECA. Got some great representation from contractors in Wisconsin, and Dan Shea has been a representative for the four-year chapter for a long time, and Dan's a great partner. He's very active on a number of research projects we have ongoing right now. So with that being said, I'm going to ask all of you to do this today. I'm going to ask you to install these apps on your phone, and I know that may seem odd on a webinar. If we were face-to-face, we would require this for this session today. But one of the things I find is if we get you using these apps on your phone, it gives you a lot more accessibility to the tools. You find yourself using them more frequently, playing with them more frequently. On the phone, it's a really good application of how you can talk to these chat bots, have live conversations. And a lot of what we've been talking about is prompting, and that's a critical ability to ask great questions and really guide these large language model tools that are so powerful and getting more powerful every day. So I would recommend ChatGPT, the app. It's free. Perplexity, it's free. If you're a Google company, I would highly recommend Gemini. I have all 6 of these downloaded in addition to some other tools as well. But these are the 6 that I use most frequently for different purposes. I want to make sure that we understand a couple of things here. We touched on this, but I want to come back to this do's here, understanding the do's and don'ts. Let's start with the don'ts. Because I think that's one of the important things here. If you're concerned about it stealing information, remember we talked about what GPT stands for, Generative Pre-trained Transformer. There's a lot that you can do, that you can protect your data in the paid versions. But understand, don't treat it as it's always right. There's tools that we can use. We know Perplexity is more up to date. We know Perplexity has it's not going to give you false feedback in the way that ChatGPT does. ChatGPT is more creative, so you need to use the right tools. Don't use it for confidential or sensitive tasks. It means secure system for private or proprietary information. I recommend a lot of people when they're setting these up, create a fake Gmail email address and start from there. But as you'll see as we get into this today, I've trained ChatGPT to know that I'm Josh Bone, Executive Director of Electri International. I've set that up, and I find that it's more beneficial and it gives me better feedback. Don't rely on it for legal, medical, or compliance decisions. That is for any of these models here. You want to use it as a tool to help you and provide guidance. But you're always making sure, if we go back up to the do's, that you're double checking critical information. You're using it to help you improve your productivity. Don't assume it knows current events. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Don't feed it copyrighted or licensed content without permission. Respect intellectual property. Just to highlight this again, I think so many people get caught up, and as you use these tools, the concerns. This list here, which I've already provided to you once, I wanted to bring it back up here again. This is the data that you should not share with these large language models. Pretty straightforward: personal identifier information, financial payment information, login credentials, security information, confidential proprietary business information, customer and employee data, medical and health information, legal and regulatory compliance data, classified or government restricted information, and anything that you're under an NDA from that standpoint under contracts. So we can summarize this, but I think this really covers all aspects. When you have questions or concerns, great place to make sure to be thinking about having this as a tool internally. I know a lot of companies are blocking ChatGPT and Gemini and other, just from a protection standpoint. I have my feelings about that, but you've got to look out for your cybersecurity. You got to look out for it's your decision from a security standpoint how you want to look at this. I would say we have a lot of conversations around AI on the monthly IT and coffee sessions. We just did an overview of AI. We're doing another AI session this month on IT and coffee. All of you as a member of the council are welcome to attend that. Next month, we're going to do an IT and coffee specifically around cybersecurity concerns, security concerns. We'll have an IT professional that works with a larger electrical contractor come in and talk about things to be paying attention to. So you have access to those recordings. They're all available to you. If you have an in-house IT, I would highly recommend them attending the Contact and Coffees, IT and Coffees. But we'll talk more about these things. Darren, anytime anybody needs any of that, make sure that they understand that they have full access as a chapter member to all of those resources that come out through Electri. I'll add that to the next email list as well, where they can go find the IT and Coffee, Contact and Coffee past recordings, and they're welcome to attend council sessions as well. All right, jumping around here, we're going to get through some of these things, and we're going to start playing and get into the software. But clarity of intent, let's go back through these prompting fundamentals. Context, background. Remember how the large language models work with the input, the hidden layers, and the output. You have a huge influence in what outcomes you get using these tools. So providing it with the right information, going through and giving it relevant, important, pertinent information, breaking things down. A lot of times I'll go in and write a very detailed, just get a lot of my thoughts out in written, and then turn that into something. But I try to make sure that I'm thinking through how I'm prompting this with the right, giving it the right guidance to give me the right outcomes. You'll find that a lot of people that are using these tools will get very different outputs. And it all comes back to those prompting questions and making sure that you're providing it with the correct guidance. A couple things I do want to hit on here is I'll do some of this today just to show you you're talking to a computer with a background data, a large data set, and it's a math problem. So think of it as you're talking to a computer, not a person. You don't have to be polite. You can be, and there's some information out there saying that when you're empathetic and you're compassionate and you say please and you do those things, there's a lot out there saying that you get better answers. But you don't have to. You don't have to worry about spelling correctly. You don't have to worry about long run-on sentences. This is a tool to help you, and it is a series of ones and zeros. Well, the math behind it does make it come across pretty powerful. So here's something I want us to start doing here. I want us to start to look at this. And of course, you have the ability to take a picture with your phone on the screen right now. And so at any time, if you want to take a picture of the screen, it will help you from a typing standpoint. But you can see here, if I wanted to go in and draft an email response to a client asking about construction project delays, we have the ability, and if I'm going creative and I'm trying to dig into this and I want to create a prompt about asking about delays, write an email to the project manager from Mortensen expressing concerns around out of sequence work and stacking of trades impacting productivity. I'm just kind of throwing a word salad in here, but I want you to see this, and we'll kind of move around and we'll go give it impacting productivity. And let's see here, what else we're asking. So, impacting productivities and seeing already, and let's do this, and again, already seeing delays early, way too early in this project. So we can put that in there, ChatGPT. I'm going to go ahead while it's working, I'll copy this here. Again, ChatGPT gives us the ability to come in here and it's going to be far more creative. So I'm reaching out to formally express our growing concerns regarding the current project execution strategy, specifically the increasing instances of out-of-sequence work and stacking of trades that we're observing on site. These conditions are all right. So I'm kind of going through here, as you're aware, maintaining a logical sequence. Understand that we're early construction phases are often dynamic. We remain committed to flexible collaborative. So let's say now that where we can start to be more specific, where we can start to dial this message in here, this is where we can really start to, okay, let's make this more concise, and let's offer some solutions specifically tied to the underground duct banks, and give me some ideas on how I can make up time. Just throwing that out there. So put that out there and you'll see, okay, it's going to be more concise. It's going to start to look at deaded duct paint windows, resequencing look ahead schedules, prefab where possible, double shift options. A lot of logic here in that email, sometimes just giving you something to think about. Now, if I go in and I put that same response here, you'll see earlier I just went in and explained why someone would use Perplexity instead of ChatGPT or Gemini. This is where it gives you feedback. It says real-time, up-to-date information. You can see it cites citations, and it's transparent, factual accuracy and focus, simple search-oriented interface. Just great tool, kind of breaks things down for you. Something as simple as asking that question, very powerful feedback, great answer, great response. I will tell you, if we try to go in and do here, write an email to the project manager for Mortensen. If Mortensen doesn't matter, you don't have to include that, but you can talk about a general contractor. You can see it's going to be more generic here. Okay. Now, one thing I will tell you as we start to break this down and think about different ways we can use these tools, for me, if I'm looking at ChatGPT, I'll go start a new chat over here for a minute. When I go start this new chat, I'm going to take this 285 page paper from NCAA and look and I could actually take and compare the differences. But if I just drag and drop this PDF here, 285 pages, I can now say summarize and highlight key takeaways from this report that could help me in writing my next change order. 285 pages. None of us have enough time to be able to do these things today. Here we go. I can very quickly take this. I could compare my electric where things are similar and different. But you can see here key takeaways for drafting and submitting a change orders. So directed change, constructive change, triggering timely notifications, decision with document with precision. Lots of great feedback. Instead of me having to go through here and review the 285 pages, maybe there's something in here that I see that I want to really focus on and go back in here and say, you know what, I really want to be able to come back to this and summarize all the information in this report, specifically tied to change directives and what should I do to avoid them. Again, something as complicated as this can take that entire report and it's indexed it all in a very short time frame here. So now you're sitting here looking at common triggers of change directives, steps it takes when issued a change directive. So it's giving you the step-by-step, being able to pull that information out. Extremely powerful tool that can save you a lot of time and energy. Now, something I will do often is take a document like the MCA change order and I want to process that. Well, instead of me having to go through and even use some of the tools here to summarize or create key points, Notebook LM is a free tool from Google. And you'll see what I did is I can upload past electric research projects, my material management model for electrical contractors. I can use this as like a study guide in creating notes and documenting, but this is an app I can also download on my phone for free, Notebook LM. I've taken the material management model for electrical contractors, and here I generated a podcast, and now could you guys hear that?
No, you can't really hear it, Josh.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, I can go back and I'll share this link, but it created a great podcast. I have to do something that I want to share it here. But, this is a podcast that I can share and I can access. So for public access, copy and share link. I'll send that over a little bit later. But it creates a podcast, extremely powerful tool that we can use. So a lot of times when I'm trying to consume as much information as I do, I try to leverage that tool as much as possible. Again, when it comes to education, it comes to consuming information, these are powerful tools to help us break down. I will tell you a lot of times too, you've got your Google, let's see here, news. I can train my Google News platform too. This is not on my phone, but on my phone, I can train this and set up keywords and go in through and define all my settings. When I look at my phone and I look at information, I'm not getting information that I don't want. And sometimes I have to kind of retrain it, but 10 nuclear reactors to power 500,000 homes, 1,000 megawatts output. Let's see here. As far as information tied to, France just hit the jackpot with the world's largest hydrogen. U.S. tariffs are a big win for Mexico. China promises a new era. So all my stuff is tied to the construction industry, and it's trying to pull information tied to nuclear stocks to buy, things like that. So again, consuming information. There's so much information out there that we need to process and leverage. And using tools like this and being able to train these models is extremely powerful. Okay, let's hop around here for a second. So you can see adding these additional prompts. If I'm looking at here, if I'm going to see NEC, if I'm looking at code, if I'm looking for up-to-date, accurate information, you guys remember where we go. We start to go in here and we start to look at our perplexity. And if I want to go to perplexity here and I want to say summarize the major changes to NEC 2023 and focus on limited energy changes and class 4 safe to touch. This is where I would go to perplexity to really narrow this focus down. Now I can do this and I can see key elements. I can go safe to touch means class 4. I could come back in and say break down class 4. But I can take all this information now and I could go back over here and say, let's copy this, go to my chat GPT, and I'll do a new chat. In my new chat, I will say, create the outline for a PowerPoint presentation that uses the following information. You know what I need to do as I see that? Create the outline for a PowerPoint presentation, a 20-minute PowerPoint presentation that focuses on the following information. And I'll just kind of put that together. If you will, Darren, you got any questions in here?
I do have a chat from John Westfall. The question is, Josh, regarding info to avoid sharing with the LLM or AI. He understands that a subscription model to ChatGPT, Copilot, and similar allows users to protect their uploads or information from being shared with others or used to help the LLM learn. I've been advised that it is safe to upload a company's financial data and other proprietary information into a subscription model. Your presentation leads me to believe that this is not the case. Can you clarify?
It's supposed to be safe. There's a lot of conflicting reports out there. Yes, contractually it is, but so much of this information is kind of mixed in how ChatGPT is trained. Supposedly, if you do everything right, yes, it's supposed to be private information. You know, I would still be very cautious about it, John. Me personally, I've put things in there and I've done it myself, but I would still exercise caution. I can send you some information. There's some podcasts out there that specifically dives into this topic, talking about the back end and how it could potentially be an issue. But I'm doing it myself, but it's still an area of caution that I would consider.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, I'll send some links on that one. I'll make sure I'm taking a note over here on my other screen. So let me do this.
Yeah, what we've done, we've actually created a new education library on our website. Our new hires are actually outrunning me right now, which is amazing. But we'll share those links. So right now, the videos for this will be on that education tab on our website, and I can put the links to these, you know, right and wrong uses of or things that they should be aware of, cautions.
Perfect. And I'll put that, there's a quick podcast out there that talks about this that I'll put it together. There's more an in-depth one, but I'm doing it myself, but I still exercise caution when you're doing it. So here you can see it created the outline. Any other questions, Darren? We good?
We're good. I'll pop on when the more chat comes on.
Perfect. So you guys can see I took information from Perplexity and then I was able to take and create a PowerPoint outline. Now the reason I do that is creating this is where I could say create a PowerPoint presentation, and you'll see over here under the GPTs, again, I can copy this information, so I can come back in and copy this. I can go under GPTs, and under GPTs we've got our tons of GPTs that we can use. And what you'll find in some of these tools as we're using them, for example, the Canva, writing, productivity, education. If I'm looking at doing a PowerPoint presentation, I'll type that in the search because I am paying $20 a month. PowerPoint presentation maker. You can see different tools, the PowerPoint presentation creator. There's different tools. I can see how many people have reviewed them. I can look at the different tools. Once I look at it, before I can hit accept, I can see it's a 3.5 star rating. I can get information about how this is set up. I'll start a chat with this GPT now. So I'll go to start, and I've got my PowerPoint presentation. Create a PowerPoint presentation using the following outline. And so we'll just keep it pretty simple on my prompt. Of course, I could put more information in there and start to set this up, but I can create a companion PowerPoint deck based on the outline deliverables. You can see here, it's going to go through the slide deck, break down everything down, and it'll come here to the end based off if you like what's happening. And on this feedback, it will tell us here, okay, PDF, a PPT, would you like me to generate a PowerPoint deck yet now? Yes, generate a PowerPoint deck. And it takes a moment, but there are so many of these GPTs, and I can start to go back in and create images, and I can start to create custom images, or I can take each one of the slides individually or the outlines, and so we can start to build that out. Some of these tools I've probably used this PowerPoint presentation maker in the past. I use Canva, I use others. I just want you to know that there's different solutions and tools out there that you can use to create this and at least help you from a starting point. But it would be very easy for me to take any one of these and tell it to create images that go along with this. You've got in Copilot the ability to use design capabilities, but the processing of some of these tools, they take a little more time. So let's do this. As this is working here, I'm going to go over here to the side. I'm just going to put in copy image. We'll come back to this. So let's see what we can do here. may take it a second. You know where I'm going with this. But let's see, some of these take a little bit of time. I mean, it's a lot of processing power on the back end. But these are the reasons I ask you to download the apps and start using the apps and really start testing these tools and building out these tools. Is you're going to end up using them more and playing with them more and getting a better feel for these. There are a lot of online classes that I've shared those links that I would recommend. I'll share those links again with you. But that's all, it's so deep, it's so wide, it's such a dynamic topic. This is something you've got to stay in and work on a regular basis. Come on, it should too. I should have probably just used Canva. But let's do this for a second so we can start to get into code. How much time is that taking? Let's just see here. So it gives me all the code that it's using. It's Python. You can see it created a script, and that's why it's building what it's doing. And if you've not, there's some basic coding things I would recommend. I use Claude more often than not when it comes to coding, and I could use Claude script and push it into some of these other tools. Let's see here. I can open up another one and let it go to the background here. Let's just see here. We'll do a new chat. Create an action figure for Darren Hudson with NECA, Wisconsin, and his super image. We'll come back in here. I'll do this. Paste that in here. His superpowers are negotiations, communication, and his tools are a big stick. But if you've not done any of these things, you can see here, if I go back to my library as it's starting to create that, let's see what I've got here. I've got multiple different logins that I use. I'm logged in here to my Electric account. I will set up, I've got a personal version of Perplexity that I use. Again, I don't pay for Perplexity all the time. There's a couple new things that have just been released that are a paid version, but it's something that I need to get in and look at and address. But there it is, starting to generate the image. If you guys are not creating images with ChatGPT 4.0, whether it's safety talks or logos or the recent capabilities of image creation have come so far with the latest release of ChatGPT 4.0. Gemini does a great job at it. Grok does a good job at it, but ChatGPT 4.0 is far and away just one of the more powerful tools. So, and with me doing this, I'll tell you what it is. I realize I'm doing a webinar right now, so it's eating up a ton of my bandwidth as it is. So you can see it's creating this image. We'll come back to the other one, but now that I'm doing a webinar, I recognize it's that's why things are going so slow. But if you wanted to create, let's see here.
With it going slow, it's almost making it worse, Josh.
Hey, it's like going back to the days of AOL, right? It's like going back to the days of AOL when you had to download a picture. But look at this action figure and what it's building out here. These are, you can create these things. Look at the accuracy from the picture to what you're wearing there. Pretty amazing. And there's so much that you can do. I got the big stick there. That again, joking, just jokes, right? Just joking around. Yeah, no Teddy Roosevelt here. But listen, I mean, for me, you can look at my library here, and my favorite girl in the world, create an action figure as she speaks on cue here. So I love the fact that she has to communicate with us, knowing that we, taking that, Dolly the super dog. Let's go back here for a second. Let's see what we got here. So download the limited energy class 4 PowerPoint presentation. That's done now. So it'll download that and it'll open up the presentation here for me. And let's just see. It at least formats it, and I can create images and start to adjust that, but it creates a PowerPoint presentation. I should have said include images, and let's see what it did here though. Like I said, I probably use this one and playing around with it, but it's very, very basic. You can see at least it just creates a PowerPoint. Still not perfect, but gives you some things here that you can use. I tend to use the Canva app more often. But remember here, the enabling editing, the ability to go in and use the design capabilities and start to use the design features here and start to build out other templates. You can start to put some of these things together that makes it more action-packed. So you start to incorporate, there's some things we can do there that give us capabilities of how you want to lay this out. So you can come back in here again, saving time, saving energy, adjusting these buttons. You can see here how it's all tied together. So I can start to tweak it and adjust it and do some fun things here. So again, big time saver. Let's see here. Going back into this, kind of hopping around again. One of the things I will tell you that I've done more recently is create a 10-question exam focused on basic NEC 2023 code questions. Create a 10-question multiple choice exam focused on basic NEC code compliance and use a couple pictures in the test. Tell you, I've done so much in white papers, but looking at people's ability now to be able to go in and show them sometimes that they have when it comes to questions. Now, a lot of times I'll go back and start this in Perplexity, and I'll build it in Perplexity and I'll copy it in and do some things in ChatGPT. But if I want to get a good assessment, we did this for a NECA contractor just a couple of months ago, and we built this thing out. And what we were able to do from this is assess their assistant project managers and assisting their project and going through and building out a very, very basic, looking through all the questions here. The average score for the group, and I want to say there was 20-something APMs for this company. The average score was just over 30. So they really, the assistant PMs did not understand code, and we're just trying to give them some basic education around code so that they could not bother the team, and they need to be more resourceful there. So, but you can see here, fundamentals, basics, things that we can go through to quickly assess the team. Sometimes giving them something to read and reading that is not as helpful as them understanding. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Well, guess what? When you can take a test and you can see that your team is scoring 30%, getting an average score of 30%, we got a problem here. So very basic, fundamental type questions, things that we can use as another tool in thinking outside the box. Let's open it up to some questions here. I want to make sure that everybody has time to ask questions, not only ask questions, but really share and think about ways we can use these tools. Feel free to share how you've used it as well.
Yeah, if anybody has anything, just click the raise your hand and then I can call you out so we won't talk over each other.
Image recognition is another great capability. I use Gemini most frequently because it uses Google image recognition. So if I take a picture of something on a job site or something I'm trying to understand more about what it is and maybe even identifying a manufacturer, image recognition, just upload a picture of something. What is this? Who makes this? Powerful tool.
Actually, I think I have one for you, Josh.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of calls with contracts and things like that. So say you got a contractor that are in multi-state jurisdictions, probably they got hundreds of different inside agreements that they need to, look into. Which one of these would be a good tool to upload those agreements into so that when we come to a certain area, they can search for whatever that would be, whatever they would want to know. Or if maybe, to have access to that, or maybe they're in this area and they're talking with the business manager and they say, well, there's language in this state that allows us to do that. What would be a good chatbot to keep these in?
Honestly, I will tell you, it depends on, so I could use ChatGPT or Gemini. It would be very easy for me to come in here and create a chatbot. You'll see that we have the ability to create an image or a logo for this, so we could drop in an image or a logo. But I could create and build this out and say that I want to build a contract, a CBA, contract review assistant. So, and I can start to put in here and start to build out more information as far as you can see here. I'll come back to configure. So I'm going to create this here and I can give it the name. So help you build a GPT. You can say something like make a creative who helps generate visuals, and make a software engineer who helps format. So create a contract review assistance that pulls irrelevant or whatever relevant information from CBAs uploaded into the GPT. So I can just kind of build that out. So, and I can configure this. I can add a description here. I can put instructions here of how I want to build this. I've given some examples here of how to do building a chat out. So how to use some of these tools. So creating a chatbot. Remember, on the Electri website, if you go to electri.org, and we've used this here for we're working with a company, and you can see in this bottom right hand corner here, here's the chatbot capabilities right here to access all of ours. So basically what you're asking to do, we've kept all this offline, and it was all about user experience, Darren. So that's one thing I could do is I can use other tools. We're using Text Cortex, but there's My AI Drive. There's others that you can keep it on your own servers and build it out that way. Yep. Now I can share this GPT with others and I can make it public, but maybe that's not what I want to do. Maybe I don't want to use ChatGPT, but you can see here, I can upload all the files and take all the CBAs and start to pull them all in and access all of them, and whether they're just PDFs This would make it very easy for me to come back in here and say downloads. You have certain limitations on ChatGPT too, as far as yeah, if I'm trying to upload a massive amount of data, then it would. You can see here. I'll pick this one up and start to look at my downloads, and I have the different series here of electric research. I can pull all those up, so I can grab a bunch of these here.
I do have a question from one of the contractors too while you're rolling through that. Kelly Schussler has a question. Kelly?
I didn't really have a question. I was just kind of relating how we use ChatGPT and Perplexity, and even we have an AI agent that we use now for our phone calls to help pick up phone calls and direct customers to.
Which one are you using, Kelly? If you don't mind me asking.
People would know. He's been dealing with it more than I have.
Yeah. There's a bunch of them
off the top of my head, but you know, it's kind of a mixed bag right now. Some people are really weirded out by it because it's so good at answering questions based on what you provide, and but yet people know that they're kind of talking to a computer, you know. But you know, just ChatGPT I use for proposals, scope letters. Perplexity I use to do simple formulas, math. I'll even ask it, you know, what size wire and if I have a, you know, a certain length voltage drop, it'll spit out the numbers and you can check it. And you know, most times it's very it's been pretty cool that way. Even just we do a lot of concrete, so I'll try to figure out how much concrete will I need for this or for that. So you know, some of those things are, I'll say, pretty simple little things, but I would like to learn more about getting more in depth, like, you know, what you were just talking about, creating data PowerPoints and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, first, thank you for sharing that. I will tell you, there are these AI assistants that can be used for auto dialers. I've done quite a bit of research on them, and it depends if you're Microsoft, if you're Google, if you're, you know, there's different assistants out there for different platforms. It needs to align with your tech stack. You know, for you, Darren, I would tell you that text core text, I would say my AI drive, so that you could kind of share this on servers and make the chatbot available in different ways. There's tools out there. It depends on from a usage standpoint, who are you sharing it with. You know, I know that's something that the NECA National Labor Relations team has already built and put together, and they're constantly updating it and providing additional resources. I was talking to Jonathan Mandel about it the other day, so I probably need to get a little more information from him and Ian. They're the ones leading the charge on that and building out that tool. You know, trying to be able to go in and identify specific language. That works really well if you're thinking about a spec book. Same thing, you can start to build your own spec book review assistance so that you can chatbot with it. But I mean,
Josh,
yes,
it's ZyraTalk is the one we're using.
Perfect. Yeah. You know, I tested one a few months ago just to play around with it. I went back and forth. I'll have to, let's just see here. I had it integrated into my Outlook, but there's a ton of these tools. And what I would highly recommend, based off of, you know, what it is you're looking for and asking, go into ChatGPT or Perplexity. Go into Perplexity and asking, hey, I'm looking for an automated voice attendant that does certain things, that integrates with my Microsoft platform. You know, there's different tools out there, that AI assistants that, and again, these are going to have they're getting better all the time. testing here the other day. We were going back to, but I can put a list of some of those together, but I would highly recommend just going into Perplexity, feeding in a lot of information, but you can put, what's your budget, so you can put a budget in and look at what that cost. And some are easier to integrate flexibility wise. Gosh, I cannot think of the name of that one right now off the top of my head, but it's but yeah, there's a ton of these out there that you can start to look at. Some are new on the market, but there's some well-established tools that have been out there for some time. And you can also say look for reviews and get reviews and feedback on the product. Perplexity is another great tool to use when it comes to identifying reviews and help finding that, because it's live, it's up to date. Perplexity is a great tool to help you identify that. Anyone else willing to share some other ways that you're using these tools? Training that Google News is a powerful tool as well. That's one of the most practical things that I do on a daily basis. What else? Let's see. Building your own chat GPT, creating examples. Ultimately, what problems are you trying to solve here? We talked about the ability to create pivot tables in the past. That's really powerful capabilities of being able to pull data and structure data in your own way using Excel. Let's do this here. So, any other questions or comments on these GPTs? The ability to, there's tons of GPTs, creating images, that history of all the things that you can go back in and search from and to.
I think looking at this stuff, Josh, I would have to assume that there's these things that we can do now, right, where they can go find a GTP and do a summarization of something or whatever. But it sounds like there's a lot of power in it that if it was allowed to crawl through their own files that they would have to find things that they've spent probably decades, that they would have on their own servers, but knowing that they would have something that would be safe to actually do that, so that they could then start building their own agents. But to even get to that point, how do you have that as certain as you could be, safety net that you could have something crawling through your own data on your own servers?
Yeah, and this is where you have the ability to come back in there, and when it comes to creating a secure, what's the best tool to sit on my own servers?
You're asking the own.
Hey,
yeah,
listen,
it's me.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, Perplexity will not. It's if you ask what's the advantages of Perplexity over ChatGPT to ChatGPT, it does a really good. Why should I use Perplexity instead of? I don't care about spelling. Something as simple as that. It doesn't. It's pretty fair in its assessments. Gemini. If I ask Gemini the same question, it'll go through and tell you when to use Perplexity over Gemini. So they're pretty fair. There's bias in there of how it learns, but lots of capabilities, and hopefully gave you guys some ideas about asking some of your own questions. Remember, go back and look at downloading some of those apps. If you want to create, I'll send the link to the Notebook LM, creating your own podcast from content that you can consume, powerful tools that you can incorporate and so much is out there. I'll put some of the things that are out there, the different tools. We've got a list on our website. I'll provide those back to you. But Darren, if there's anything anybody ever has a question about, let me know. Feel free to shoot me an email. They've got my contact information, or you can forward it through you. I'm always happy to help.
For sure. No, we appreciate it. Just to let everybody know again, we've made some updates to our website. So under the members and divisions, it's not much now, but we've created an education library. So these 3 webinars will be on there. We're going through archives right now to get the other ones on there, so that the slideshow, the video that we're recording, and any of the links that you send us, Josh, our members can access it on our website through the membership division tab, and then it'll be up at the top. It'll say the new education library and training. So other than that, we really appreciate your time.
Yeah, same here. Smith AI, that seems pretty easy to remember. Maybe that's why it was so hard, but Smith AI is the one that we were playing around with, and testing some things, letting it sit on your own system for business processes. It's impressive. It's impressive what it can do. And these things are getting better, faster.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.
See you, everyone.
See ya.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.